call. Thank you.
Tucker Whitman.
Here.
Andy Dennison.
Present.
Ben Vitale.
Present.
Chris Petras.
Here.
Paul Pickney. Keith Batman.
Here.
Hans Petter.
Here.
Charlie Ripley.
Present.
Heidi Nightingale.
Here.
Elaine Daly.
Here.
Tricia Keir.
Here.
Timothy Lattimore.
Here.
Michael Didio.
Here.
Ryan Foley.
Present.
Aileen McNabb Coleman.
Present. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, then we're going to take a moment of silence following. You want it?
I'll read it.
Oh, you'll read.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Our sincere condolences to the family and friends of Charles Elser, Auburn police officer for 23 years and a special deputy officer at the county office building from 2007 into 2014. Thomas Donnelly, MD, father of Kathleen Cuddy, public health director. Joseph Marinelli, father of Grace Blowers, social service director of administrative services, and father-in-law of Lynn Marinelli, budget director.
Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing on local law for the year 2020, providing an increase in salaries for the part-time election commissioners. We're also going to begin next with a presentation from Lisa Lippold, our Director of HR, regarding employment in the county. Lisa, do you want to present, or are you? Yes. Yep.
So you have the report in front of you regarding the time frame of September 1st through December 31st, 2019, regarding the amount of new hires we had, the breakdown of female to male being 45% female, 54% male, with 40% being Caucasian and 59% unknown, because there was a large group who were hired prior to the approval of the new hire form that we were utilizing to be able to start tracking demographics. So it had to go through legal, and we hired a large number of people in that first 2 weeks of September before it was approved. In our applicant pool, we had, for the county, 61 people apply. 38.37% were female, 34.32% were male. There was a group of 1.8% that were non-binary, and there was also those who did not answer the form because it is voluntary. In way of race, 58.77% of them were white, 7.64% were minorities, and there was a 33.59% of them did not answer the question. And we have our exam takers, those that actually were approved to take exams during that time frame. There were 206 of that group. 63.43% of them were female. 35.5% of them were male. There were nobody who self-identified themselves as non-binary. There was a 1% who did not answer the state exam demographics piece for that. In way of race, white was 87.43%, minority 8.27%, and 4.3% did not answer that piece, even though they might have answered the female-male piece. In way of outreach activities that we've done since this came into being, we've done recruitment nights with the sheriff's offices. We're part of the Veterans Fair to increase the number of veterans involved and give them information about how they can apply, as well as apply their credits as either veterans or disabled veterans. We participated in a civil service panel with Cayuga County College and BOCES, which included students and alumni. We increased the website locations of community agencies receiving our exam and job announcements 24%. We're in the process of purchasing a tablecloth and trifold for community outreach events. We're creating marketing materials for outreach, which also include a QR code postcard marketing material that will give easier access to the county website in way of employment. And we're also, we created and implemented the data collection for online and paper format. And we also increased the ease of use with our website for the county in our section of dealing with Human Resources Department of the sort of visual look of it to make it simpler and easier for people to utilize. Any questions?
Doesn't have to go
Mr. Ballard?
to. What was the number of new hires?
23.
Thank you.
And of that, 7 of them were part-time individuals.
Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions for Ms. Lippold?
Okay, and one of the things in the new year, we will be also reaching out to the high school guidance counselors to try and be part of any job fairs or career days that they have, to make sure that they understand that the county is a great employer to be with.
Yeah, I'm just going to read it because you've already presented it. Proclamations. NAACP 21st anniversary of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Millennium Award recipients. Aileen has already presented these awards. Thank you. Minutes to, you get privilege of the floor.
Yeah, privilege of the floor. I do have an individual here who signed in to, is this to address the public hearing, or is this privilege of the floor?
Should be public hearing.
Okay, so
I'll make a comment about it.
so he can just speak.
You want to speak on the public hearing?
No. just
Oh, privilege of the floor?
Yeah. We're good. If you could state your name and address, and you have about 3 minutes.
I'll take 4. Sure. My name is Dave McCune. I reside at 11 Locust Street. Madam Chair, I say with a great deal of pride that I was unable to make the first meeting in early January. I wanted to be here for Trish because I was on her campaign team. But having missed it and read about you in the morning, I got a little emotional. I think the great Hibernian hall in the sky, our fathers were looking down and toasting what you achieved. My only comment about the election commissioners is my father was appointed to the first state election board in 1974 by Governor Wilson, one of 4 commissioners, and he was paid $25,000 a year. So you're way behind, Katie and Cheryl. But you chose to start a new decade. Aileen McNabb Coleman, an Irish American, and I hearken back to 60 years ago when our parents and grandparents chose John F. Kennedy, also a 43-year-old Irish American. I know I'm 6 months early. But he often said, what he said in June 10, 1963 at his speech at American University is that our problems are man-made, therefore they can be solved by man. He said in September 1962 at Rice University, we go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it is hard. And what Aileen said a month ago, we can do better. He often quoted the Irish poet George Bernard Shaw, but is really his brother, Robert, on his 81-day quest for the presidency. It quoted George Bernard Shaw. Some men see things as they are and ask why. I see things that never were and ask why not. You know, in 1974, Auburn Mayor Paul W. Lattimore Sr. asked why not and convinced Ataka Steel Company of Japan to come here. Timmy himself asked why not about turning the Bombardier site into a casino. Angelo Donabo says why not every day about bringing business to downtown with the theater. Where was I going? So I asked why not. I look at our county, and by the way, we're really part of a global economy, whether we realize it or not. Nucor and Owens, Illinois are global companies, as is Welch Allen. And their success and the success of Courier Plastics or Weaver Machine or Tool or Tessie affects our jobs, our tax base, our property values. So you look around the county, we have 23 towns, 9 villages, a central city, and 7 school districts. Those were formed in another time. I mean, I think you look at, there's some global consolidation that maybe we could think about. You know, Brian and Sean are looking for officers. You know, we have village police force. So it's just a thought that we can change things, help the taxpayers. We have great opportunity with Steve at the lake, the lakefront. I think looking at that and going to the first meeting and the next meeting next week, I think it has some unlimited potential. But at the end of the day, I guess I want to say, as President Kennedy said often, a rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. If anyone, Mr. Legislator Ripley?
I'd like to offer the privilege to the floor to Mr. Don Brown.
Mr. Brown, come on up and you can state your name and address at the podium. And you have 3 minutes.
Hi, not used to this. My name is Don Brown. I live in Moravia. I'm here as a representative of the County Highway Department. Honestly, it's about the morale and the atmosphere at the Highway Department. It's not good. We have personnel that have been there for a multitude of years, 20, 30 years, that are looking at the door to leave somewhere else. We've already lost a few. And obviously, there's been applicants, but none of the highway positions are being filled. Where are we going to get that experience? It's not there. There's a lot of work that didn't get done last year, whether it was personnel issue, not having enough, because we don't, supplies not being ordered, materials not being done, permits not being pursued sufficiently. I don't know what the answer for any of that is or where it comes from, but it makes us look bad. The John and Jane Q public thinks that the County Highway Department is just there to lean on a shovel, collect a paycheck, and good benefits. Unfortunately, that's the same thing a lot of people think about the legislators too. I hate to point it out, but it is.
It's true.
One of the permit issues is, look at Scott Golf, it's still closed. Yes, the DEC was involved, issues there. But even then, when you ask somebody, what do we do? The answer is, I don't know. Well, there has to be an answer somewhere. We're hiring out for engineers and contracting other stuff out. I know that this was an agenda meeting tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And a lot of this that we could be doing ourselves. We did Parcel Bridge, and they're contracting the other one out. We don't have the personnel maybe to do this and get the bridge work done, or not necessarily the bridge work, the ditch work, the culverts, and everything else at the same time. We've had open positions now for months. They're not being filled, and we have applicants. Maybe not necessarily for the highway department. When I was hired here, I was told that CDL drivers are a dime a dozen. Unfortunately, the state is hiring anybody off the street right now and helping them get their license, because CDL drivers are not a dime a dozen. If they were, most of your dump trucks and your big rigs, Class A certifieds, wouldn't be a walking or moving billboard now hiring. I guess if we don't want to lose the experience that we have, the personnel that we have, we need to change some things and make them better. I'm hoping that you guys have a couple better answers than letting people that we have with their experience leave. There's not an easy answer, and unfortunately, the blame comes down ultimately, whether it's in the administration process that we have or leadership that we have. But it all started with Justin Woods. That's where it all trickled down from in his implementations. And it was the legislators that let him have free reign at the time, I think. I'm speaking on my behalf, not any of my co-workers. This is me sticking my own head out on the block here for the guys. We've got guys that have been here just a couple years. I've only been here starting my third year in March, and I've already got applications out. Just because it's a good job. You do work hard, and you do work hard in the winter. A lot of nights where you don't get a lot of rest or sleep. 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're right back out. And the guys that we do have, for the most part, all work really, really well together. Yeah, you got some issues here or there that you're not gonna go without that anywhere you work. We have, there's a few more things I could say, but I know that, like I said, this was an agenda meeting, and I really wanna not stress too much on things that you already know. And we're hoping that you guys will give us some sort of answer, or do something about it. Because if not, there won't be a highway department there. There won't be nobody to move material, plow the snow. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Minutes to approve December 10th and 12th, 2019.
Move it. Second.
Appointments and reappointments.
I'd like to waive the reading of the appointments and reappointments.
I would like to separate out the appointments for the Cayuga County Industrial Development Agency. These need to be discussed in committee. I'm going to move them to the discussion in Planning Committee with regard to term and New York State law. So please take those out of the bundle, please.
You need to make a motion to approve.
I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Communications and announcements.
I'd also waive the reading of those.
Second.
Thank you. I don't see Dr. Durant here this evening for the CCC report. So we'll move that to next month.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
even though we waived, well, no, we voted on the appointments. Never mind. I missed the vote on the appointments.
Bear with us.
Forgive me.
Because I'm not sitting.
Sometime when I do that, it will be something you miss, will be important. So,
It was only 2 minutes ago.
Keith,
I'm
it's
writing
it's
it
because
down.
I'm not sitting next to you. Mr. Ripley, you need to keep an eye on Mr. Batman. Up next is committee reports, individual legislature reports. Any reports this evening? Mr. Whitman?
I got a couple things I'd like to cover. One, Public Works will be moved to the second Monday of the month at 5:30. Outside of that, I'd just like to bring some attention to the broadband initiative that was supposed to happen in Cayuga County a couple of years ago. I've been in contact with the governor's office, and they're having complaints not only from the north end of the county, but the south end of the county. I'm not sure where it's going to go, probably nowhere, kind of like the broadband initiative has in Cayuga County, at least in the north end. We've got lots of colorful posts and pipes sticking out of the ground. Other than that, it's a year and a half behind schedule, and there seems to be absolutely no accountability for the contractors involved, or nobody's been able to tell me what that accountability is. I don't know if they've been paid already for the work they've done. I don't know if the state's withholding money. I'm not sure what the contract looks like. But I can't seem to get any answers, and I haven't seen really any progress in the last 5 months in the north end, anything noticeable. The last time I talked with the office of the contractor, I was told that there probably wouldn't be any more progress in a forward fashion until spring. And that was late summer. I'm kind of baffled as to why. Up until this week, it's been pretty mild winter. From what I can see, most of the conduits are in the ground. It's a matter of running wire through them. So I don't know if there's, I know we had somebody from the state come out a year, 2 years ago almost now, I think, and give a bit of a presentation on where we're at and how we got there and where we're going. I don't know if that's another possibility to see what's happening. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling to me for a project of this magnitude to be going the way it is. I mean, if the contractor doesn't have enough people, he's spread too thin, I would think that they would have to put more people on it or give it to the next bidder to finish, or, I mean, I work in this type of area, construction industry, and it's usually in the contracts. There's some sort of accountability for the contractor. They almost never come out on top, so I'm kind of curious as to how this one's working. That's all I got on that one.
I just want to bring to your attention, Mr. Whitman, I will check with the state and see where they are with the broadband initiative. I do have Carm Branca from New Visions on the agenda for next month to come and give us his update, but I appreciate your words of concern. Legislator Lattimore?
Yeah, I think we had a discussion in regards to having Carm here this month instead of next month. But
He wasn't available this month.
but one thing I do want to put out is that our permitting system was like a 6-month delay with New Visions, and it seems to be under some kind of an emergency permitting thing that Verizon's throwing wire on top of the other contractors. So I think it was partly our problem in regards to slowing the contractor down for the first 6 months.
No, it wasn't in part, it was totally our fault.
Legislator Foley, you had your hand?
No, Dennison can go first.
Legislator Dennison?
All right. Since we're discussing this, I'm happy to say Spectrum's hooking me up Tuesday, next Tuesday. So,
They weren't even part of the initiative,
but, they were.
were they?
But I guess my point is, I mean, I obviously live in the boonies too, where you can't see your neighbor, and part of it's aerial, where there's poles, part of it's underground, where there's not. I think a lot of it is who they're hiring for the contractors, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, so I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not working, because it is in places.
I'm in the wrong contractor zone.
Well, I mean, the guys that we had, I talked to them, they're called Highline. They were awesome. I mean, but I think that's maybe the overall oversee of this project isn't so great, because maybe that's why they're just spotting all over the place. But it's happening, I mean, because it's happening with us.
Legislator Batman?
Yeah, I would, I think it's great to have Carmen Bronca come. I think that'll be very helpful and enlightening. But just as we've learned, I would re-emphasize this, the project in Cayuga County and the project at statewide is not a New Visions project.
Right.
Spectrum is involved, Verizon's involved, there are some satellite companies involved. I like the idea a lot of trying to get the state in here to explain what's happening, because I've had the same experience as Mr. Whitman. You get referred places for information, and I'm incapable of navigating the places where I'm sent for information. There's one place that works pretty well, as long as you put in every single address that you're interested in, which takes a long time in a county this size. And so perhaps what we might do is collect our questions, ask you to contact the state, and ask someone to come from the state to explain where we are with the project. Because if you remember, the last time someone came to present to us and talk about the project, there was actually someone from, I think as I remember, regional planning, and they actually didn't have any more insider information than we had. And so I think we need someone from a broadband office or some other person who can come in and specifically address the questions that we have. And the final thing I'll say is that Mr. Denson has a Spectrum. Mr. Whitman will have New Vision sooner or later. Most of the people in Scipio will have neither, and we're not in anyone's service area. So it's a problem. It is. I totally agree. It's a big problem. It's a major problem, and it's a problem we need to understand what the state is doing to solve. So great idea, and I will be sending you my questions.
Thank you. I would encourage everyone to send me your information on this. I do have constituents in Senate who are between polls, and just in Senate, they don't have access either. Who's hand up? Legislator Lattimore.
Madam Chair, I did call you in regards to some of the contractors. I guess Verizon had issued a contract with one company and then subbed it out to two other lower ones, which might have been sort of part of the problem. But building a platform or a spine in the county is very, very important for technology to be advanced. And I know I started with Mr. Batman when he had a wireless firm out of Ithaca. Before he was even elected, I supported some kind of system.
Thank you. Yeah, and the problem, if I may respond to that, because that's a good point, and thank you for bringing that up.
I'm glad I did.
The difficulty with this technology is and we do have that service, and it's infinitely better than dial-up. The problem is that the definition of high-speed internet has evolved. And with that evolution, at some point will come the limitations that you have when you're working at a lower level. At the time that Clarity Connect installed, and they installed it in much of the county, in the southern part of the county, the high-speed internet, well, I won't go into detail. But the point is the technology changes, it evolves, and that was the foundation for the new state initiative, and that was an old initiative, and thank you for the support. Made a difference.
Always there for you, Keith. Thank you.
Legislator Foley.
Yeah, is there any other legislator that has comments on broadband before we go to something else? Charlie?
Charles.
If I
Is it
get,
working down there, Charlie?
If I get the nod from the chair, yes, I'll speak.
Thank you. Legislator Ripley.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this intimately.
Speak into the mic.
Carmen Branca was supposed to be here this evening, and I don't know, I don't see him here.
Mr. Ripley, I want to interrupt you. He'd had a conflict, so we moved his presentation to next month.
But, based on what Mr. Batman said there, it has evolved, it's now fiber. They are moving rapidly, however, it has stalled in the last 2 weeks with the fight between Verizon and New Visions. Mr. Batman is going to get Verizon before he'll get New Visions. I do know that. I do have the layout of where they're going, but I have to tell you that it's based on census block. And at the meeting last week, or earlier this week with NICEAG, the census blocks is assigned by the town. Broadband office assigned census blocks to the broadband installers, and it made no sense how they did that. They had to pick it out of their hat, because when you're laying fiber, you got to cross census blocks. And how they assign them is somebody's pipe dream. It is happening. It's going to take a little longer. I think Mr. Palermo was on top of this last week with some of the dickering that was going between Verizon and New Vision. So hopefully we're moving forward on that. I have not checked on it since I came back, but it is moving. And a lot of it is subcontractors subcontracting out beyond that. That's part of the problem.
Thank you. I will continue to collect information. Legislator Foley, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone got their piece on that.
Thank you.
But I have other reports for.
Thank you.
tonight.
Before I let you go, I will collect your information. I will contact Broadband Office. We will talk with New Visions. And then we will have a presentation next month, and we will get to the bottom of where we're at now, because you're correct, Mr. Legislator Whitman. This has sort of fallen off, so we need to pick it back up. Legislator Foley.
Yeah, for the legislators that live out in the country, I invite them to move to the city of Auburn.
No thanks.
Too high pricing.
Great internet. Fast internet. Okay, all right, it's just a suggestion. All right. Okay. No, Madam Chair,
You're still using cans and strings here.
yeah, right. My report is straightforward. I just want to recognize Bill Hulick from the Records Retention. He's the center coordinator there. His last day is tomorrow. He's worked for the county for 20 years. He did an excellent job. Everyone speaks very highly of him, so I just wanted to recognize him for his efforts.
Thank you.
And then secondly is, and this is for the entire legislature, we are going to be voting on very important things in government operations in February. And I just want to give everyone a heads up about that we've been working on talking about an IT contract, which is very important for the entire county. And every legislator will probably want to have input on that, so please be aware that's coming. The second item is the reappointment of a county attorney and who we may go with on that. And so everyone always has a ton of comments, and I just want them to be a part of the process. And so please, if they want to get a hold of me, call me, email me, or come to the committee meeting in February, second Tuesday of the month, 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other legislative reports?
You want ledge reports?
Yeah, any other legislative reports?
Well, it was nice to be with you at the conference. I know the last meeting was about bats, and Mr. Batman was there, so I hope he learned everything he can. But, Madam Chair, I know it's, this is the first meeting, and you're sitting in the chair, and I just want to recognize all the women that are in the room. And I see Mike Long, and I remember erecting a sign for Martha Coffin Wright on Genesee Street, who was one of the founders. And I know that suffrage was 3 years ahead of the national, and we're talking about 100 years. So to to all the women, and especially the Democratic women. Congratulations.
Thank you. At this time, does anyone wish to speak to the public hearing on the local law? Okay, up next is the chairman report. It's been 26 days. I wanted to repeat the sentiment that I am humbled to be serving you and the county in this capacity as the chair of the legislature. I'm available to you anytime, and my door is always open. Please reach out if you have ideas, concerns, or if you just simply need a snack, stop by. It's been a busy month. I've been here daily, barring the New York State Association of Counties conference this past Monday through Wednesday. I have been learning a lot, and I appreciate every experience. As an update, I wanted to let you know what I've been up to. Operationally, there's been a change in the configuration on the 6th floor. Lori Bradkey is back to the center office and is responsible for calls for the chair. She is otherwise acting in her accounts payable capacity in that office. I have met and will continue to meet with department heads across the county. I will hold the first department head meeting on February 26th. I've participated in meetings with action plans centered on workflow and Munis throughout all departments. We're looking forward to improvements in operations with workflow needs as they are being addressed. We're transitioning the decoupling of the auditing position from our clerk of the legislature. We are reestablishing the office of the auditor with a part-time appointee to be announced in the coming months. In the meantime, Sheila is continuing to serve in that role, and we thank her for her effort with that. I've represented the county at the following events this month. I attended the WIC celebration of their breastfeeding center. This was my first event as chair, and I was humbled to be a part of that particular ceremony and connect with the mothers and children. This was a poignant reminder for me on how the county government impacts families and individuals, and I was really, really excited to be a part of that. I presented proclamations at the NAACP luncheon to honor the community leaders for their work in the message and spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I attended and represented the county at the State of the State presentation by Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul at the Equal Rights Heritage Center. I've established contact with the governor's office. My concerns expressed to the office included the proposed state budget implications concerning Medicaid, as well as the fallout from the criminal justice reforms, including discovery and bail reform. I've established contact with Congressman Katko and have a meeting with him in the near future. In addition, I plan to meet with our Assemblyman Gary Finch, State Senator Pamela Helming, and I'm reaching out to Jim Seward's office. I'm meeting with City Manager Jeff Dygert first thing in the morning. I'm looking for an update on various issues, but especially the public safety complex. I attended the CETA meeting this month. As a board member, I will continue to represent the county monthly on the board. The Emerson Park RFP, as you know, has been granted extension of 1 month, so we will have an update at committee on that next month. I'm pleased that we have a resolution to address increases for non-bargaining on the agenda tonight, as well as a resolution to support NISAC's task force on criminal justice reform. Speaking of NISAC, Ben Vitale, Charlie Ripley, Elaine Daly, Keith Batman, Tricia Kerr, and Tim Lattimore and I attended the conference this week. I've received the emergency management required certification for executives. In addition, I met many legislators, chairs, and administrators. I'm interested in strengthening ties and expanding our network with other counties for collaboration purposes. I was able to attend the last part of EMO's Winter Storm Amy tabletop exercise downstairs in EMO. I commend Amy Russett for organizing the event here at the EMO office. Bill Correa from New York State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services led the training. He's a fantastic trainer, and the event was very well attended. I look forward to shoring up our emergency plans, and it appears EMO is on their feet and moving ahead. There are some appointments on the agenda tonight that we voted on. There are more to come next month. They will be on that agenda. For the month of February, I would like you to be thinking about our capital planning needs and budget reporting. I would like to begin discussion on these two objectives. With your input, I want to explore and establish a capital planning committee. In addition, I would like your feedback on how often and how detailed you would like budget presentations periodically throughout the year. Please be on the lookout for an email on those two subjects. And with that, that concludes my report. Is there any questions? Legislator Dennison.
Add Assemblyman Mankelo to your list.
Oh, thank you. I actually have talked to him, but thank you.
Madam Chair, just, I forgot to mention, the only countywide elected official is Sue Dwyer. Thank you, Sue, for all you do. Another woman.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Turn around, please. Come over to this table.
Yep, sure.
Okay, we're going to move to resolutions, Ways and Means. Legislator Petrus.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Ways and Means has 11 resolutions. I would offer them as a bundle, but I'm not sure if we need to close the public hearing on local law on Ways and Means 8. Do we need to do so?
Not at this time, but that brings me to pause if there's anyone here to address the local law and would like the privilege.
You could pull that one and do it after if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
The Ways and Means 8 one.
We're going to pull out WM8. Can I get a motion on that?
Okay, so I would offer Ways and Means 1 through 7 and 9 through 11 as a bundle. They've been through committee.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Health and Human Services, Legislator Daley.
Yes, Health and Human Services ended up having 18 resolutions this month, 2 from the Office for the Aging, 5 from Health Department, 9 from DSS, and 2 mental health resolutions. I'd offer them up as a bundle unless anyone wants any of them separated.
Okay, can we have a motion for Health and Human Services, 1 through 19?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning, Legislator Batman.
The planning has the 2 resolutions. They've been through committee, were approved. I would offer them as a bundle as well.
Move them.
Move it. Yeah, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Legislator Whitman, Public Works.
Mr. Chair, Public Works has 4 resolutions, all have been through committee. I'd like to offer them as a bundle unless anyone would like one singled out.
Move it.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Legislator Foley, Government Ops. I thought I would keep you on your feet as you're keeping us on ours.
Okay. Madam Chair, Government Operations has 2 resolutions. I offer them up as a bundle unless anyone would like one singled out.
Can I have them separated, please?
Okay.
Oh, we'll go with GO1.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
I offer up GO2, authorizing Cayuga County Veteran Services to fill a part-time driver. Second.
Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, Legislator Dennison, Judicial
Yes.
Public Safety.
Yes, Madam Chair. JPS has 7 resolutions because one was defeated at Ways. I need to separate number 5 out, so I will offer 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 6 as a bundle. I'm going to keep 8 separated for now, too.
Move
Second.
it. 6 needs to be separated out, doesn't it?
Oh, wait, 6 is a, you know what? We're going to do these one at a time.
Thank you.
Number 1, authorizing the Sheriff's Office to set a fee schedule for the acquisition, amendment, and transfer of New York State pistol permits.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
JP2, authorize the sheriff to fill one vacant SRO position in the Cayuga County Sheriff's Office.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
JP3, authorizing the chairman of the Ledge to accept a grant from New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
JP4, authorize the sheriff to fill one deputy sheriff in the Law Enforcement Division of
Move
the
it.
Cayuga County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
Discussion.
Damn,
All in
I
favor?
finished reading that.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, JP5, authorizing the probation department to enter into a contract with Cayuga Counseling to provide all pretrial release services.
Move it.
Legislator Petras?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd just like the record to reflect that I am abstaining from JP5.
Thank you. Legislator Foley?
Yeah, same movement.
They had a
I did
two-thirds?
abstain. No, JP.
No, JP6 is.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right, JP6 has to be a two-third vote, authorizing to create and fill a full-time support staff confidential secretary to the DA position in the district attorney's office, together with setting the salary and transferring the necessary funds from the contingency account to the district attorney's full-time salary account.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. Legislator Batman?
Yeah, I think this is absolutely a position that's needed. I just want to make it clear at this point that the purpose of this position is to help with the discovery, the additional workload associated with the discovery changes, and I would like to see the position and the DA's office coordinate with other offices so that we have a coordinated approach on how to approach discovery. And I just want to make it clear the purpose of this position, at least from the job description, and the reason I'm supporting it, is to support the efforts that are now required to meet the requirements of the new discovery law.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Nightingale?
I'd just like to be sure that we're always kept aware of the impact of discovery in terms of workload, so that we know going forward the importance of the full-time confidential secretary.
Thank you very much. That's noted. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right, and JP8 is authorize the Deputy Sheriff's Police Association, DSPA, to enter a memorandum of agreement to staff patrol officers of school districts to serve as school resource officers. I talked to the sheriff. They, what was it, 4? They met at 4 and they approved this, so.
Move it.
Second.
Any other discussion on this? Legislator Foley?
I would just like to say that at Ways and Means, there was some discussion because I had questions about this and what the agreement actually said, and we said we should go into executive session because it's about a contract, but then people said we should wait till the full legislative meeting, so everyone got their questions answered at the same time. It was kind of a cumbersome process. There was some issues with posting the agreement publicly or not publicly, and then we didn't have access to it in order to read it. And so, if we can just clean that up in the future, that would be very helpful to our jobs as legislators.
Also noted. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
That would be it.
Okay, I just want to go over JP5 and JP6. Although it is not listed under JP5, it did require a two-thirds vote. Although it sounded unanimous here, I just want to bring your attention to that. JP6 also the same thing. I saw those as unanimous. But I just want to raise awareness there. Okay, are we all set?
You can close the public hearing.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone left to speak to the public hearing before I close the hearing? At this time, we will close the public hearing on the local law. The last resolution is Ledge 1, supporting NISAC's advocacy efforts in connection with recent changes to bail and discovery laws.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Got to do WM.
Yes, Madam Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I would like to move the WM7, the local law, or not WM7, I'm sorry, the local, thank you for the number, WM8, the local law regarding the increase in salaries for part-time election commissioners.
Where you stealing my thunder, Keith?
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
It wasn't very graceful.
Any discussion? Legislator Foley?
Yeah, just a quick, we handed this out prior to the meeting from the Board of Elections, just showing, and we got it at Government Ops, just showing some of the inequity between various counties and why this is needed. And so I also gave a copy of it to the media just so they would have it, and I wanted everyone to understand the reasoning behind this.
Thank you. Legislator Petcher, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I had several constituents contact me this morning, and they were interested as far as doubling the salaries, so I'm going to vote no.
Okay, noted. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Discussion on this? We will adjourn for executive session. We'll move to caucus 1.
Aileen, will you do any business when you go?
Thank you.